Let's talk a little bit about what happens in an eviction moratorium here in California.
Yeah, so I think the best place to start is just explain that the whole situation is very muddy and very convoluted. I just want to kind of give the caveat that anyone that's experiencing an issue where they think they need to evict a tenant should reach out to a professional property management company or an attorney that specializes in evictions, because it is muddier than ever. Right now, we're operating with a number of moratoriums, both locally in each municipality, the state, and the federal government. Kind of starting from the top with the feds, we have the CDC that's put an eviction moratorium in place across the entire country. So nationwide, evictions are not supposed to be happening, but we are hearing and reading that they are happening across many states and cities illegally. In California, there are two pieces of legislation that are governing what we can do for evictions. And these are just evictions. These have to do with just evictions for non-payment of rent. The Assembly passed Assembly Bill 3088 last year, and that was set to expire January of 2021. And instead of allowing it to expire, the state Senate passed Senate Bill 91, which is now going to extend the eviction moratorium for non-payment of rent through the summer. So June of 2021, that's set to expire, but I anticipate that that'll probably be pushed out beyond that date.
Other than the dates, is there any significant difference between the two bills?
Not significant other than the date and the timing. It's really all it did was extend that period of time. There is going to be some support planned for landlords in the form of rental assistance that'll pass through the tenant and to the landlord for that past due amount.
And how will that look like? What will that look like?
It's still up for discussion, but it looks like about 75% of the rent due will be given to the tenant and then passed through to the landlord as rental assistance dollars.
At the present time, isn't there a bill that the tenant is required to pay 25% of his?
Yeah, so that was part of Assembly Bill 3088. The tenant was responsible for paying 25% of their rent amount before a certain date, depending on when that balance was due. And if they didn't, then an eviction could take place. That's since been extended, so that 25% number is still not due at this time, and that's been extended. The remaining balance of 75% is not something that you can evict for at the moment. That 75% becomes an item that the landlord needs to file for in small claims court. One positive is in small claims court, the limit used to be $5,000 that a landlord could file for. There's now no limit if it's due to the rent collection of AB 3088.
That's nice to see on paper, but oftentimes, if it's built up over a period of a year, the ability for that tenant to collect, the landlord to collect from that tenant is not very good. And even if they get a judgment on the small claims, the chances of recovery are very slim. And at best, if you turn it over to a collection agency, they're going to probably take half of that right away. So although there is some things built in for the landlord, they're really very minimal. And the necessity to have a cash flow reserve is really critical and should be anticipated for the next year, that you're going to need to find some ways to have a reserve to cover those costs.
It's for many of these pieces of legislation from the federal government down to the municipalities, it's all theoretical. None of this stuff has hit the courts. The state court system has been completely shut down since last February or last March. So it's all in theory. We'll see what actually works its way through the courts once they finally open.
And that's a big question mark. But one of the positive things is, when talking about residential property, in our company, we've experienced a reduction in leasing and a slight increase in vacancies, but nothing in comparison to what retail has experienced
Absolutely.
or what office has experienced. Um, so although it is not the best of times, they're still in a better position than owners in the other two categories of properties.
I'm very pleasantly surprised how well multifamily has fared through the pandemic. We have some properties that have seen rent growth through the pandemic due to forced appreciation through renovation, but still to have a property that has had significant growth in rental demand and rental rate demand was not something anticipated March of 2020. I would have never guessed that we'd be in this position in some places. So good point.
I think that kind of covers what we discuss. Um, any general ideas about what you're anticipating we will see in this next year? Any guess if there will be anything for the landlord?
I anticipate that over the next year or so, we'll see additional support for landlords, probably in the form of mortgage forbearance or mortgage support in some form. I think there will be dollars that pass through the tenant to the landlord, but I don't think there'll be a whole lot of stimulus directly to property owners. I don't think there's an appetite for that locally or federally.
The only way I see, and I'm not sure how likely it is that there would be some tax benefits
Mhm.
proposed for the owners for the losses they're incurring, reducing their tax liability.
There was some discussion of that early on during the eviction moratorium negotiations. And I think the challenge that was posed by some of the resident rights groups was that that tax benefit should be spread over such a long period of time that I think some of the property owner associations fought it. It just didn't seem relevant enough. I want to say it was to be spread over 20 years,
Yeah.
some very large number that it became such a, I think the discussion was becoming more work, yeah, than it was worth.